Whatever it is that you assume to be true about you, about life, about how everyone treats you, that is what you will be getting in reality. This is according to Neville Goddard. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the law of assumption, but not in some theoretical way. I'm going to be showing you life events and how the law of assumption is playing a huge part in your life, how you can better utilize its true power when you understand how to apply it, and also understanding that you've always been doing the law of assumption. So have I. Everyone has, just the same as we've always been manifesting. Manifestation is revealing what you believe to be true. Doesn't mean it's objectively true. It simply means that's the filter on how you see the world. So what you find is going to align with that. In this video, I'm going to clear up any confusion on what the law of assumption is. I'm going to be showing you practical and visual ways so you can best understand. And at the end of this, you're going to understand how you can use this to create the life that you want and you deserve. So let's get started. So I'm going to be doing my best to keep this as simple as possible. What we're going to be doing is we're going to go over different events, real life situations, and basically how the law of assumption plays into this. So basically right here, I have the ideal you and the assumptions that you may have. And again, realize everyone is going to be different, but there's going to be commonalities. So you might want a loving, secure relationship. There's a certain set of assumptions you'll need to have in order to be able to experience that. If you're not experiencing that, you're going to be having different assumptions, and whatever it is that you deeply assume to be true, that is what's going to be in your tangible life. That is what's going to reveal, or that's what you're going to find. You will always align with what you assume to be true, no matter how much you desire something else. So let's get those two, let's get your desires and your assumptions on the same page. So under the current assumptions you might have is everyone's going to reject you, that you're not enough, that you're unworthy, or maybe you're not smart, you're not capable. And under your ideal you or your wish fulfilled assumptions, it's going to be that you assume you're worthy, you're deserving, you're smart and wanted. Realize this could be a lot of different things. So I want you to understand how this looks in real life situations. So I'm going to be doing a non-relationship one to start off, because I always go to relationships because that is where I learned all this from. So for instance, the situation or the event that comes into your life, again, this could be anything, but say you were really wanting a job and you feel like with that job, then you'll have a sense of security, you'll have a sense of purpose. And so you do everything's looking good, and then you end up not getting the job. They pick somebody else. And so basically I'm going to be showing you the two different yous on how you can interpret this. If you're using your current non-ideal assumptions, you could say, oh yeah, well, of course I didn't get the job. I always get rejected. No one sees value in me. Or maybe it's, I'm just not worthy. Nothing I have actually offers value. I'm not smart enough. They probably went with that other person who's really smart. Did you see their resume? My God, they were way more qualified than I am. Nothing I do is ever enough. I can work as hard as I want, but I'll never be able to be enough to get what I want. Okay, so that's one way you could interpret this. Another way, same event happened. Okay, same exact event. I didn't get the job. Okay, let's step into this world of your ideal you and the assumptions. So you don't really understand, maybe you get no information, right? You just find out you don't get the job. You don't assume it's because you did something bad or they don't want you or they rejected you. You could see it as, well, that's kind of a bummer. I really thought that job was going to meet what I really wanted, but perhaps that might not have been the best job for me, and maybe life or the universe or my higher self actually has something better beyond my imagination in store for me. And the more I invest that energy, that makes me want to maybe self-reject or self-abandon, telling yourself the stories down here that you're not worthy, you always get rejected, by saying, okay, well, it's okay to be disappointed, or, I really wanted that, and that's kind of a bummer. You process that short emotional refractory period, as Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it, and you realize it's not about you as a person. Maybe that company actually thinks you're overqualified and your level of competence makes them uncomfortable because maybe their company isn't exactly ideal and they don't want somebody at that level of dedication and attention to come into their company. You don't know. there could be a ton of different things, but you know that it's not personally about you. So let's take the second event. Okay, somebody doesn't call you back or they don't text you, right? Maybe you're in a relationship with them. Maybe you just met them and you're flirting and it's fun and then they stop texting. Let's interpret this one according to the different assumptions we could have. Remember, these assumptions are filtration systems, and we're going to get into why you're doing this in just a little bit. Okay, so you don't get a call back, but you have an assumption that you always get rejected. Well, yeah, what is it that I did this time? God, I really like them. I knew that this was going to happen. They always leave. As soon as I like somebody, then they're not interested. Okay, well, you know what? They probably saw what I was afraid they were going to see. They see that I'm not good enough. They see that I'm not worthy. They see that I'm not enough. God. Or it could look like knowing, having the assumptions that you're worthy, deserving, smart, and wanted. Again, some variation of this. Wow, that's interesting. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened to them. They could have a family emergency. They could be going through a personal shitstorm, dark night of the soul. I don't know. But because I don't know something specifically, I'm not going to assume it's about me. Because I have this set of assumptions and I know I'm worthy, I know I'm whole and complete. And when I make that about me, I'm self-rejecting. In this situation, it's really important for you to understand that if you're in this, and the reason I have these assumptions is because this was my life. This was my life when it came to specifically romantic relationships and also to money, because I had these blocks. I had these filters, so I would filter through everything. So I made everything about me, about what I lacked, about what I wasn't doing, about what I should or shouldn't have done. But so much of the situations that were happening had nothing to do with me, and that person wasn't even thinking that. But the one person who was thinking it was me. So I was rejecting myself by assuming this about me. So even though I was afraid of rejection, which is the whole reason I was so upset when I wouldn't get a call back or a text or someone would go a little bit distant, I would have a spaz out because I was so afraid that they were going to leave, because I was assuming that they would leave. So the only one thinking about leaving was me. I was afraid they were going to leave. So I was rejecting, I was self-abandoning, because their presence in my life became more important than my own stability within myself. What you have to understand is each of these assumptions, each of these ways of interpreting is a different energy, right? So this has an energetic signature, this self-rejection, not understanding that I was doing the very thing that I was afraid that others would do. This up here, realizing you're worthy and holding yourself to this higher level. And this isn't about just a mental thing. You have to assume these at the subconscious level. These have to physically be true in your body. You'll have to let go. If you're in these current level of assumptions, you have to let them go to shift into this. Now realize this, okay? This is the oh my God. When you're over here and say you don't get the text back, because that's how many times I did this, I couldn't even tell you. Okay, they don't call you back, okay? Now this right here is a big moment, and I talked about this in another video extensively, but this is basically the moment you have a chance to make a new choice. I call this the gap, and becoming aware consciously of this gap is going to change your life, because guess what? When you have the situation they don't text back, you have this moment to make a new assumption or start to even just say, I don't know what this means. I'm trying to tell myself the story that it's because I'm not worthy. Oh, whew, it's hard. You know, even that is more aware. But if you do what I did thousands and thousands, if not millions of times, and you assume that this call or this no communication or somebody's distance is because of you, and you make this assumption, okay? Physiologically, your body doesn't know the difference between this interpretation, right, that happened from here. This event happened and you put a meaning on it and it went here. You had a chance to make a new choice to go up here, but you chose this unconsciously, not because you want to, because you're trying to stay safe. Your body does not know the difference between you assuming this and this actually happening. So you know how many times I assumed somebody was rejecting me when simply I was rejecting myself? Physiologically, my body went through that rejection. Physiologically, I felt those really painful emotions of feeling abandoned or being abandoned. But yet it was all happening in my mind. Based on my recklessness, really, I was totally unconscious. I had no idea this existed. So I was doing the best I could with not great tools, not great framework. But what I want you to understand is why this is so important, not only for you to start creating the life you want, so you can stop the physiological replaying of probably stuff that was really painful in your past. Because that's what you're doing. You're basically fearing some painful thing that happened in the past. You're fearing it's going to happen again. And these trigger moments, situations, they get interpreted as if that really bad thing's going to happen. And your body goes through that pain and that abandonment or that rejection and basically is living in the past, but current day, because physiologically you're saying, yeah, they're probably leaving me. I don't know. What did I do? God, I shouldn't have sent that thing. I should have been more funny. On and on and on. Again, rejection, wrong. Energetically, who are you being there? Physiologically, you are in that reality, even though that person could text you the next day. Oh, hey, my phone died and I couldn't find a charger. And you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, no problem. You know how many times I did that where I was like, God, I had Thelma and Louised off the cliff of mental spiral. And then I hear back from them, I'm like, oh yeah, no big deal. I'm fine. Acting as if I hadn't just had a downward spiral. But physiologically, I experienced it over and over and over. One of the most powerful things I can show you about the law of assumption is something happens, you have a moment here. They also in neuroplasticity, they talk about this. This space between the event and your interpretation is how you change your life. This space requires awareness. This space requires you to be present. And it might take like some breathing. You might like, okay, I got to feel my feet. I'm trying to feel my hands and my feet. Ooh, I'm really trying to tell myself this story. This is uncomfortable for me to even think that another interpretation exists. Okay. Even that is an improvement from just going straight to this interpretation. It's a meaning. And there's a reason you have this meaning, because when you were a kid, there was things that happened from your adult caretaker who was supposed to know best. They were supposed to keep you alive and care for you and be emotionally present and all these things. And lots of us didn't get that. We didn't have the person attuned to us the way we needed. We didn't have that security where we felt safe and we could go out in the world and be uniquely us. So basically we kind of get this hiccup like, okay, are we okay? Am I okay? Are we okay? Or am I okay? Because you're old school, basically relating to your sense of safety through somebody else. So when these things happen, start becoming aware. Okay, I have a moment here. And maybe you even just look back. That's how I started. It would be a week later and I was like, oh my gosh, I totally did that thing. I put that meaning that they were rejecting me. And even though it had been a week later, I started becoming aware of myself in these moments. And then I started being able to make a new choice. And then sometimes, the old choice, nope, the new choice. So you have to understand, the more and more you become aware of this, the more and more powerful the law of assumption can really be. Because the law of assumption is ruling your life. Carl Jung said, until you make conscious what is unconscious, it's going to rule your life and you'll call it fate. Because this familiar pattern, you've experienced it so many times, but it's not because it's objectively true or what you're meant for in life. It's simply a pattern that keeps getting repeated from event to meaning, from event to interpretation. The more and more you understand this, and that there is a beautiful moment here. And when you learn to tap in, and even your awareness now of it, that's what you can start making a new choice. Start to use visualization, practicing feeling in your body, because the same thing that I talked about earlier, I was physiologically feeling that even though it only existed in my head. You can do the same thing with the power of visualization, feeling these emotions and this state of being as if it was in you now, because it is. Your access to it is available now. The only reason you don't do it is because you don't have proof or reasons to feel this way. Letting go of the proof, stepping into these because it's in your inherent truth, is the key and the path for you to tap into the magic of the law of assumption and start implementing its power now. If you need some more support on helping you understand how you can change your self-concept, this next video right here is going to break it down even further to give you everything you need. I love y'all. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button below. If you haven't done so already, get over here and join this community. I'll see you on the next one.